I've used this photo pretty much in every presentation for the last sort of 18 months. That's because that's what we've been doing for 18 months. We've been drilling and discovering right in front of processing infrastructure and an old mine. Capital structure, 1.1 billion shares on issue, market cap of around about 1.2, depending on the share price today. Hopefully it's going up. You know, good price for an exploration company that's got a bunch of infrastructure. So I'm going to go through why that is. I've had a lot of comments saying, you know, there's a lot of undervalued equities in the exploration space and you're not one of them. So we'll go through why that is. We're about 93 million in cash, so very well funded to do what we're doing, which is drill a lot. Flagship asset, as Mark said, 65 k's away from Mount Magnet, very well established gold mining area. And what we were doing was mining gold, but there was a low-grade system there. We've taken a bit of a re-look at that, and it's turning into a very high-grade system. We put out a resource update just recently that I really think drove that home. We've been able to displace the low-grade ounces that were previously being reported and displace them with high-grade. 2.5 million ounces, roughly, at 4.8 grams a tonne, which is about 3 grams higher than when I walked in the door, and about 1.8 million ounces more. So in a sort of two-year period, we've changed the world for this company. As I said, the mineral resource there, I won't go through it, we'll labour it. The big numbers in white at the bottom of those tables are the key ones, 16.1 million tonne at 4.8 grams a tonne for almost 2.5 million ounces, 6.75 million tonne at 8.65 for almost 1.9 million ounces at the Never Never and Pepper gold deposits. Pepper was a prospect in April. It's now a gold deposit with almost 500,000 ounces in it. So we've been adding high grade to the system since we discovered Never Never in mid-2022. We knew we were onto something pretty special, and since that happened, we've just been adding to that. Our focus is obviously high grade, and we are drilling and we are creating growth doing that. You can see some of those percentage increases there, and we're doing it pretty cheaply, $16.50 for every ounce that we've discovered. 3 to 4 rigs on site at the moment. That's the overview there. I like to show that because that mill's less than 5 years old. When I shut it down, you know, it still looks brand new to this day. We've got guys looking after it, and we're drilling right in front of it. You can see those oval shapes there. Yes, this is a PowerPoint presentation I put together just before I showed up. Sorry, I'll just jump back there. Lose control. Right. Sorry, I'll restart there. It's getting too excited. It's the first time I've been on the stage here. And thank you for the invitation to present, Diggers. I really appreciate it. Back to my cartoon. That's how close that deposit is. The green ellipse is the Never Never gold deposit. As I said, it's you know, it's almost 1.5 million ounces at a grade of approaching 9 grams in the underground component, so pretty exciting, and 600 metres away from that processing infrastructure. And then, believe it or not, we found another deposit right next to it. And I do see similarities with some of the imagery that Mark was showing there. I won't go into that in too much detail, but if you have a look at some of the slides of his high-grade underground, some of those structures that are implicated in those high-grade chutes that they're following at Mount Magnet are very similar. Just the growth story there. You know, we started with 300,000 ounces early 2023. It's a pretty lonely place being an MD of a broken company that had gone into administration once before. We had a discovery, but there wasn't many people listening to us, which I can't blame them for, because there's quite a few people that lost money on the first iteration of the company that owned this asset. And I set about hard marketing, raising money at an ever-increasing share price, creating that excitement, getting people back to the story. And you can see the growth path there. You know, very quickly by the end of 2023, less than 12 months later, we had almost 1 million ounces at almost 6 grams, which for a project that was struggling to hit 1 gram head grade through that mill, that's pretty crazy. Today, Never Never, as I said, sits just short of 1.5 million ounces at just over 8 grams a tonne. It extends to over 1,000 metres from surface. There's a 2.2 gram open pit sitting above that. So this is a big system. It was sitting right in front of that mill, And our exploration target, we can argue the difference. I think Pepper and Never Never are related systems, but they are separated by a shear zone. But I'm going to claim that we smashed our exploration target that we only set earlier this year by putting those two together. Never Never and Pepper together almost double the grade of what we expected to see in that exploration target. We're going to drill 90,000 metres of drilling in CY25. That includes 25,000 metres of surface drilling, and we are going to get after that Pepper prospect that we discovered in April. We're going to indicate it and we're going to extend it to depth. Not going to drill too much more at Never Never. We've drilled quite a lot into that. As I said, we're over 1,000 metres now. It gets quite expensive drilling beneath that, and if you think about it in mine plan terms, you're sort of looking at 10, 12 years in the future. So, excuse me, what I'm after is making sure that Pepper adds to the ounces per vertical metre, which have just almost doubled overnight with that new resource estimate by putting it next to Never Never. 3 to 4 surface rigs. We have 3 on site at the moment, and we've got 1 more inbound. This is what the main system looks like. You can see the old open pit, Gilby's at the top right-hand side there. What we found was Never Never to the north of the pit. We followed up a 8 metre at 3.9 grams a tonne from 24 metre intercept. It was a sterilisation hole. There were haul trucks practically driving over it, and 2 years later we're looking at a 1,000 metre deep system with a number of prospects that seem to be developing next to it. One thing I'd really like to drive home on this is not a 5 to 7 metre wide ore body at good grade. This is a 30 metre wide ore body average at really good grade. Those geometries really make a cost exercise on extracting ounces a very simple process. I've just employed a new COO for the company. Well, he's been with the company for a little while now. My old general manager from Paulson's, probably employee 2, I think, at Northern Star. So he's come across to help me extract these ounces. First off, we're going to put in a drill drive, but we're going to make sure we put it in at a dimension that makes sense from a mining perspective. That's why I needed him. He's a specialist at extracting ounces. Drill intercepts. I show this a lot. I don't get tired of it. These are some crazy intercepts. 300 gram metres used to be when Newmont would get interested in a project, and we've been consistently delivering over that. These are some of the best intercepts I've ever seen. We were top cutting our drill intercepts at 50 grams, then we changed it to 100 grams. Then we realised that there was actually just a very consistent population through here, so we don't necessarily top cut unless we get 2,000 gram hits, which we do have a few. So we'll take the opportunity in those times to cut it down. But when you can see these grades at those thicknesses, there's very few ore bodies that are similar. The yellow ones highlighted are the Pepper discovery holes and the holes we've drilled so far, and it's just growing, open at depth. This is the ounces per vertical metre graph we put out with the MRE update we just did. Almost 4,000 ounces per vertical metre through the centre of that system. That is an incredibly high endowment, and when you think about those stopes being 20 to 30 metres wide, that is a crazy ore body. There's not many examples like that. We're pretty excited about it. As you can see, Pepper is open on the right-hand side there, and we are certainly going to be infilling and drilling that to depth. We're only looking at an inferred resource of 438,000 ounces at the moment, only, at 7.6 grams a tonne, and we will keep following that down. But the excitement continues. So we have geophysical work that we've done to the north of Never Never. To me, we're sitting on a whole structural belt here, a belt scale opportunity. It's not just about one discovery. We've obviously replicated another high-grade discovery within a couple of 100 metres of the first, and we think that there's actually a sequence or a series of these throughout this region. That's why we went and did some geophysics in the blue area there, but then it became pretty obvious to us there's another gold mine in this region. In that green mining lease that's on the screen there, the top right-hand side is an open pit called Golden Wings. Now that was initially used as starter material for the original plant at Dalgaranga. Now that we've pretty firmly established ourselves as a high-grade player, I want to look under that pit. Turns out there's not one drill hole under that pit. That pit needed to be a tailings dam for that operation that went into administration. Not one drill hole under there. Second biggest gold deposit in that whole area. So I hope you understand that's where we're drilling right now. Just to run through a bit of graphics here, hopefully I don't run out of time. This is where we're sitting in the world. That's our resource statement there. If I just zoom it around, you'll have a look at the exploration drill drive we're putting in, commencing at the end of this month. Those blue lines are the drill holes we'll be drilling. That's Never Never on the left-hand side. You can see the scale of this system. I mean, that pit is 220 metres deep. And we're coming out of that pit to go and access that new high-grade system we've found. We're going to drill everything on the way down there. We're going to drill it to reserve, and we're going to bring it to grade control. And I hope everyone understands I'm not going to stop at the end of that exploration drill drive. We're going to get into that high-grade stuff. Some resource tables there, just to really drive it home. But there's more. So Sly Fox was the highest grade deposit in this area before we discovered Never Never, and we've taken a re-look at that. It's a much broader system than what we thought. We're looking at over 2.2 grams a tonne. Now that doesn't get too many hearts racing, but when, as Mark said, you know, when you've got ounces in the area, all incremental ounces count, especially when you can pay for, and then some, with some really high-grade stuff. So we're obviously looking at every option within 3.5 kilometres. I used to say 2.5, but Golden Wings is just on 3.5 k's away from the plant, so that's what we're talking about now. Within 3.5 k's on granted mining lease, every ounce that we can bring to that mill in a mine plan is what we're going to do. That's Sly Fox there. I won't go through it in too much detail. I've shown it before. It's a much bigger system than it was previously thought, but that's what we're finding across this whole belt. This is not just one deposit. This is a series. This is a massive regional scale play. Just to show it again, look, when I drove through Mount Magnet as a young geo, there's over 70 open pits in that area. Mark will probably correct me on that, but there's a lot of digging that's been done in that area, 100 years of consistent, continuous mining and exploration in Mount Magnet. The structures that have been implicated in the high grade there are very similarly oriented to what we're seeing at Dalgaranga. We hold that whole greenstone belt, and we've just started on our mining lease, and we've already discovered a couple of high grade ore bodies. We've only been working on it for 3 to 4 years, total. I've only been there for a couple. Well, we are going to drill 90 kilometres of drilling to see what else is there. Strategy, pretty simple. We're going to grow through drilling. There's a bunch of words there. I won't run through all of them, except to say that our COO is going to get underway on that drill drive shortly, and I cannot wait to get underground and make a nice video with really encouraging music. I can't. I got really excited. I'm an underground miner, right? I love that. See jumbos? It's great. We want to put a reserve out the second half of this year. We're absolutely going to do that, and I think it's going to blow people away. Why invest in us? I still think we're undervalued. What MD won't say that? But it's high grade. We have infrastructure. How many exploration companies have their own processing infrastructure? Proximity. The high grade is right next to the infrastructure. You know, I should put a geometry slide in here too, because that 30-metre wide stoping average it's incredible. Growth, we've proven we can do it. We have a team, we're a proven team. We've driven value. Like, I get every day shareholders thanking me for what we've done, and I take real pride in that. I wear it really heavily on the shoulders when our share price goes down, but I love to hear shareholders say thank you very much.